All right, so there are a few things that I want to say, and I don't know why I'm saying them now because actually they've been bugging me for a while and they've been on my mind for a while. But for whatever reason, I feel like I just want to get this stuff off my chest. So, one is a philosophical matter, I guess you could say, related to Me Too, or we could say a common, I think, misperception related to Me Too. Another is a critique that I have been getting from some people for a new topic that I am interested in, which is the series of custody family court disputes between Josh Homme and Brody Daly, musicians. And then finally, there's a third thing that I want to address, which is related to the Marilyn Manson case and some other critiques that I've gotten along those lines. And honestly, I try not to talk about critiques uh, at all if I can help it. But sometimes things bug me a little too much, or rather, sometimes I see where it would actually be beneficial perhaps for me to set the record straight on some stuff. And so I'm going to be doing that in a little while. But I want to talk first of all about something that really bothers me, that Cat Tenbarge. Cat Tenbarge, NBC journalist, Amber Heard supporter, Evan Rachel Wood supporter. She's posted several things in the last week that bug me. First of all, she was complaining a couple of days ago about the fact that YouTubers supposedly make too much money. And then one of her followers posted a chart and it had that umbrella guy on it, and Emily D. Baker and Nick Rakita, and there was one other, maybe Legal Bites. And this chart indicated how much these people had made during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard saga or the trial. Now, I can just tell you, and I don't want to go into it, but I can just tell you that every time I see one of these charts or one of these representations, so supposedly of how much these YouTubers make, it's always way beyond what I believe based on, proportionally speaking, what I have made. It's always, to me, way off. It's always too much, and sometimes, like, often way too much. And I'm really tired. This seems to be a persistent complaint of Kat Tenbarge and others, that those of us, and I wouldn't put myself even in the same category as that umbrella guy or Emily D. Baker because Nick Rakita, because obviously they're a lot more successful than I am. And so I don't want to be, I don't want people to think, oh, wow, she really thinks a lot of herself, putting myself in that category, because I'm not, right? They're way more successful than me and have been doing it longer and all that. And I love their stuff. But but even I get criticized. Kat Tenbarge, as you know, she has written articles before and she has posted stuff in the past attacking me. Now she doesn't mention my name, of course, because she doesn't want to give me any more PR. But attacking me for making Marilyn Manson videos, and of course, there was one person writing about me in Rolling Stone who asserted out of nowhere, just a blatant lie, asserted that I was telling people that if they wanted exclusive Marilyn Manson updates, if they wanted, like, the inside take and to know what was really going on, then they needed to subscribe to my Patreon. I don't ever provide Marilyn Manson updates on my Patreon. So that was just a flat out lie. I believe that was Rolling Stone magazine. But all these people complain, and I've really gotten tired of it. And particularly, I don't like seeing some of my friends. I'm used to it, I guess, but I don't like seeing, some of my friends and associates on YouTube getting dogged by this woman all the time. Okay, I'm very sure, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Let me just say this: the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, that was a tremendous outlier. Okay, I do not believe the statistics that Kat Tenbarge and some of these people are throwing around about how much they think that, Nick Rakita or that umbrella guy or whoever supposedly made. But even if I did, like, that was basically a once in a lifetime, once in a YouTube lifetime event, and that is not going to be repeated. And a lot of these people who did well during the Amber Heard Johnny Depp saga, a lot of these people, and you know this if you were following the saga before the trial, a lot of these people were toiling on the internet for year after year, like, with not much reward at all. And like, I don't know when that umbrella guy got started, but I believe it was years ago. And I believe that, if I'm remembering correctly, from what I've been told, that he was like one of the first on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard story, and he was on it way before it was cool to anybody else, or way before a lot of people had caught on. I mean, when someone when someone is smart enough, and I'm not just talking about him, I'm talking about a lot of YouTube people, a lot of us that I feel like were early to the game, or earlier to the game than the mainstream media, and a lot of people in society, on some of this stuff, on the Me Too hoax stuff, on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, on the Marilyn Manson stuff. I mean, the mainstream media still aren't even there on these stories, and a lot of people in society aren't. But yes, there were a number of us YouTubers over the years that have been ahead of the story on this. And that does take a certain amount of bravery. I'm not talking about myself. I really don't have I really don't have a lot to lose, I guess you could say. Although, to be honest with you, the things that I've said on the internet now, like, there's no way, if I ever wanted to go back and have any kind of an academic career, that I could do it. There's no way. So, like, I did know, I got, like I've said before, I got downsized out of my full time teaching job when COVID hit, and it was me and a number of other people. This wasn't anything that I'm upset about or shameful or whatever. But when I lost that job, then I'd already started my YouTube. I thought, well, okay, here I have the choice in front of me, because I had started the YouTube several months before I found out that they were not going to be rehiring me. It was a year-to-year contract. It was a full-time job. It was a good teaching job. College, great college and whatever. But when COVID hit, a lot of things changed. And so there were like 7 of us that were told that, our positions were going to be eliminated. Anyway, my point is, when this happened, I had a choice in front of me. I could either continue down the conventional road with academia of, trying to get another job and trying to work on, my research and writing and credentials. I have a PhD, but I mean, in terms of adding, articles and books and things to my resume, go down that path. But of course, that path, especially if you're trying to be an English professor, that path means that there are a lot of things that you cannot express, a lot of ideologically problematic ideas, such as a lot of the stuff that I talk about on here. And so I basically, and then I had this idea of the direction that I wanted to go with my YouTube channel. I had started talking about the Marilyn Manson stuff. I had become very sure by that point that he was innocent and that he was the victim of a hoax. I was a lot more invested in the Johnny Depp stuff. I was looking at other cases, and I was, and I saw that my YouTube channel, it was going to be very politically incorrect, and it was going to draw a lot of controversy, even if it, remains small. And I was going to have articles written about me, and of course my real name was going to come out, and all of that, right? So I decided that I wanted to go with the riskier option. And it's not because I'm some noble, great person. There was a part of me that was, to be honest with you, tired of teaching, and felt like I wanted to kind of throw some caution to the wind and go with my heart or my gut on something. And I'm glad that I have, even though at times it's been difficult. And it's definitely definitely a lot more stressful, this route, in a lot of ways. But and very uncertain. but I decided that I was going to go this way. And so the way that I have gone, it has torched any career or any chance that I might have for a career in my field, the field that I trained for and that I got an advanced degree for. It's torched any chance of that, really, honestly. And I knew that, right? I knew that. And so I am not saying that as a sort of like woe is me thing, okay? What I'm trying to say is that it's, people don't understand that actually there is really something significant. And I'm talking about Tug, and I'm talking about some of these other people who were earlier to the Depp party, certainly than I was. Although I'd like to think that I caught on by the time the Manson thing rolled around, right? But it's not nothing to say that certain people were early on something, or that certain people came to certain conclusions, or at least started defending those conclusions publicly before others did. And I understand that we that when you sign up for something like this, and when you start a YouTube channel, and when you become a public presence or try to on social media, and you talk about controversial things, I understand that it's part of the deal that you're going to get a lot of heat and stuff. But at the same time, it's still something that I think is worth noting. And I guess my point that I'm making is, Kat Tenbarge, she thinks that these other people made too much money because they toiled away for years and years and years in obscurity, and generally trying to make ends meet in some ways with this stuff, just trying to cover some expenses, and then finally they get a hit, right? Or they get a break, you should say. And during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, but it's not like that lasted forever. I mean, I don't know if I should be saying this, but the bounce that I got from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, like, it is completely gone away. If you look at my subscribers, yes, the subscriber count is pretty stable. It's about what it was when the trial ended, because I gained a lot of subscribers, but a lot of those are subscribers in like name only. And if you look at my views have gone, and I don't know if I should be saying this, it makes me look bad, but I'm just being honest with you because I'm trying to make a point here. My views have gone back to what they were before the trial. And again, that's fine. It's not like, oh my God, this is, this burden I have to carry in life. I'm trying to say, though, that for Kat Tenbarge, who can sit back in, the comfort of her her safe NBC job, and, and it's like, it's sort of like from her couch in her apartment in DC or wherever she lives, getting paid to, as far as I can tell, not produce regular work. A lot of us are putting out YouTube videos now every day, every other day, and we've been doing it for a while, and we're doing streaming and all of that. Kat Tenbarge, she puts out and people like her in the mainstream media, they put out like what, one article or one feature, what, every week, every 2 weeks? Is it even that much? And I'm sure that she's getting a decent salary. No, of course she's not making as much as she would like to make, of course, because these people in the mainstream media, these quote unquote journalists, they think that everyone should want to benefit from their astute understanding of things, and that more people should be reading their writing, and more people should be tuning into what they're saying, because they're so important, and their views are just so essential. So of course they're baffled when they see what they view as these obnoxious amateurs on YouTube, as they see us making a little bit of money, when sort of a once in a lifetime Amber Heard Johnny Depp celebrity trial hits. And the reason that these people made any money is because the mainstream media completely abdicated their role to show any interest in this story, or to cover it fairly, or to even report on it really at all. And so, of course, the only people who had the balls and the intelligence and the moxie to cover this stuff on YouTube, of course, they're going to get a bump, because there's nowhere else to go. And you, Kat Tenbarge, and people like you are just going to sit back like sour Sallies or fucking Eeyores and say, well, they're making too much money. No, they're not. No, we're not. Got a bit of a bump after years in the wilderness, like Moses in the Old Testament. Got a bit of a bump. I had a bet that paid off a bit. And it's right, but it's right back to where, where we were. And Kat Tenbarge, it just drives her crazy, though. People might have eked out a little more money than they should have during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. But all the money should be coming to Kat Tenbarge, right? And that's the thing too.